Hey friends, my name's Nick Grice, and I want to share my salvation story with you about how I came to know Jesus and what He's done in my life. So I got to go back to my childhood. That's where my parents, they took me to church every Sunday. You know, it's just part of our routine each weekend. But I never really authentically surrendered my heart to God at that time. I went on and finished high school and went to college. And there I just found freedom to choose whether I would go to church or not, and I decided to disconnect from church altogether. My priorities at that time pretty much centered around partying and hanging out with friends. So I did eventually graduate college, I started my career, and then I got married. And unfortunately, a few short years after that, our relationship failed, and I remember being really alone and at this really low point in life. So one night I noticed this dusty Bible that was laying on my shelf, and I thought, you know, that's what I need. So I picked it up and I literally just began flipping through the pages, and it fell open to Psalm 24 and 25. And I started reading those two chapters, and I basically just prayed them to God because I knew I needed to open my heart so Jesus could come in. And I just asked God to forgive me for everything I'd done wrong and all my rebellious ways. And I knew I had a lot of changes to make, and I knew church needed to be a part of that. So I started visiting different places, and that's how I ended up here at Real Life Church. And God really started speaking to my heart through the messages, and He made it clear that this is where I belonged. And I met Jen here at church, and we got married, and we started our family with our two sons, and we've just had the privilege to grow in our faith together. So I'm just so grateful for my wife's support in our ministry. God's just done a lot of amazing things in my life since I gave my heart to Him back in 2006. I started thinking about all the ways that the Lord's shown up and led me through the years, but I've noticed I see myself differently. You know, I don't live with guilt and regret or bitterness toward other people anymore. And I actually care about other people now, and I used to only care about myself. I've tried to be obedient to things God's led me to do, like leading small groups and serving our community. I've gone on trips to Haiti. I've been able to preach sermons, but most importantly, I get to share the gospel with other people and see them come to know Jesus as well. So, like, my relationship with God's just given me wisdom and discernment in life, so I've realized I don't have to figure out everything on my own anymore. I can seek Him through prayer, and He gives me wisdom and guidance. So as I look back on it, I realized, like, when I hit rock bottom, that Jesus was the rock at the bottom. And so I know if He can change my heart and life, He can do it for anybody. And so if you haven't ever made that decision, I want to really encourage you to consider that, and to think about what God wants to do in your life. Because I know that nobody that authentically ever gives their heart to Christ will ever regret it. And I'll say this, that following Jesus isn't easy, but it's totally worth it because it gives you hope and peace that lasts forever. Thanks for listening.